So far, we have not done huge amounts, but we're just building up slowly. And what we have is the login screen where we can type in pretty much anything and it will let us log in. We've got some system.outs so that we can test the functionality. So when I log in using admin, it allows me to go to the admin page, and then when I log in with anything other than the admin username, it loads up the student view page. Now what we want to do now is to start building in the functionality that only lets set users log in. So looking at the code, we can start to tidy it up a little. So looking at the SQL query from last time, we don't want to select all the users. We want to select where the username equals the search, the username that's been typed in, and the password is also equal to what's been typed in. What we now need to do before we run the query is to set the values in our prepared statement. Set string 1. So the first string we want to replace with username. Double comma there. This is just setting up the query with the data that's been entered. Set string 2, and this will be the PWD for the password. Then we'll execute the query. Now if you run this in SQL, you will see that instead of returning and displaying all of the usernames and passwords and forenames and surnames, this one should hopefully just display one when we get it correct. So let's just test that it works when we use admin and the correct password for admin. We should have the admin page loading up and then the correct output down here, which means this part's functioning correctly. Now what we need to do now is have it only load up the admin screen if it's admin, because at this point it means the password and username are found in the database. Now if what you used for the username dot equals admin, then we would want to load admin form. Otherwise they've successfully logged in, so we want to load student form. Now to make this a bit more readable, I could have copy pasted this actually from here, and I will just do it now. I'm going to cut the code from that, and I'm going to write another method. No return type, just private to the class, private void open admin form, and just put the code in here to load an admin form, and then similarly for the student form, which is you can make our code a bit more readable, which is always good. Similar private void open student, or what have we called it, student form, yeah, open student form, and paste that in there. Now instead of having lots of that, we can just call that method that we've written. So we'll open the admin form there, and from the other one we will open the student form. Now that's possibly what we should have done earlier, because you'll see that that code's in there elsewhere, and probably in all our other all our other classes as well. So if it has a next, it means it's matched something from that query. So what we want to do is if it doesn't find it, so on this if, we can input code which can tell us that there is an error, username or password not found, and just change this to error. We could change the G option pane if we wished. So now when we test it, if we try to log in as admin and we type in the wrong password, we should get a notification telling us that that password's not found. If we then try the correct admin password, it takes us to the admin page. If we exit and we log in as one of the users with the correct name, you can see it logs us into the student frame, pops up the username for us on the screen. You can also go back and edit when you open the student form if you want to change the message that actually appears on there. So it says welcome username. You could get it to pop up other fields from the database if you wanted to include the last successful login date by using a date timestamp. You can see you can just edit that to do whatever it is that you need to do. So in the next video, what we will want to start doing is displaying data that's been queried from the database. So for that, we're going to have to create a class with accessors and mutators to store the data that's in the exam or the grades rather table. So we're going to need something that will store an array list, or sorry, a class that will create an array list to store this information so that we can display it. And it's very similar to how we did the query here, where we are selecting things from a different database, from a different table rather, and then displaying that into a JTable. So that's completely separate video coming up for that one.